Oh, good morning. Hope today finds you well. Oh, unpacking a few of the goodies I got. I went to an auction last night. Oops, excuse me. I've been kind of eyeing this place a little bit. They got a few old radios coming up if they ever get around to them. But that's okay. Actually, I've got a couple things to do this weekend. I got another auction that I'm hoping will be pretty interesting. That's Saturday, and then Sunday we're going down to the first big flea market of the year, and I think it's going to be a real pain in the butt. It's supposed to be well, let me look. Weather changes by the hour, and I think it's supposed to snow and be 5 above. That's going to be a laugh. That's not going to be pretty. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see what happens. And they're down there, rain or shine. First one of the year. Everybody's been cooped up all winter. They gotta get out. This actually, as dumb as this looks, is a valuable piece of property. This is the side off an old Sears Router crafter, and this thing is brand new. It was wrapped up in a piece of paper. If you've ever seen one of these, they're a big bed with steel tubes or aluminum tubes, and the router kind of flies back and forth so you can make posts and stuff. And these have a nasty habit of breaking, and this one, being brand new, is a nice replacement part. So this is valuable property. We'll talk about that later. I didn't know what this was right off the bat. I paid $1 for all this. You want to hang on a second? Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, there we are. Got this big box of junk for $1 and some other items. So this was in the box of junk for $1. Actually, so was that end of that router plate, or that crafter end. And what this is this is a, oh, I didn't know that was in there. This is hollow inside. This is a taper jig for a table saw. There's a little scale here. And you just line up the taper you want. This is great for not making like table legs and stuff. If you want to have a little taper your table legs, make it have a lighter look. You just open that baby up, run this side against the table saw. And this side has the workpiece in it. There's a little hook there to hook it. And this kind of gives you an idea. This is actually, it says made in the USA. Wow, we used to build stuff in the US. And this is made by Sears. It actually shows it being used with a, well, I guess there's a table saw, but it shows it being used with a radial arm saw. That's a scary thought. I have never been a big fan of radial arm saws. They kind of, for lack of a better word, they worry me. Anyway, that's a pretty handy little tool. So that was, I don't know, probably in the scheme of things, probably 3 cents. We also got this. So it's kind of interesting. Nobody wanted this because, well, nobody wants a tool that's broke or missing a piece, but it isn't missing a piece. If you look around in the right boxes, it's got all the pieces there. It's a huge pair of bolt cutters. Now it's seen some better days. Oh man, baby is stiff. It's got a few nicks in it. It's not perfect, and that isn't. Those look bigger on camera than they really are. Actually, I think a little work with the maybe the file. Well, that's a pretty decent pair at one time. It's about 3 foot long. I don't know, a new pair is about $30 or $40. And I think it's good up to 5/8. Usually you get in trouble with bolt cutters if you try and cut something too big. Oh, okay, it's like a decal. I thought it was a wear mark. What's that? High tinsel. Okay. I don't know. You know, I didn't pay much money for it in Taiwan. Extra hard, made in Taiwan. I'm not going to say anything. This isn't a bad pair. It's got the... I don't know if you can see that or not. Actually, inside here is like a gear. These two are locked together. There's a pair of teeth in there. It's kind of interesting. I'll take that baby apart, show you how to clean that up a little bit. That'll come around. It's not in that bad a shape. It just looks nasty. Especially if you're going to cut something nasty you don't know anything about. And there's a huge box of junk still out in the pickup. And this, on the other hand, is kind of an interesting little toy. This deserves some recognition. Voila! It's the made in the U.S. It's the Acumath 111. It's a slide rule. I actually have a slide rule. I actually have a couple slide rules, and this one's not in bad shape. It's still in good shape. Nobody's beat it to death. If you've ever seen a slide rule, slide rules are kind of interesting because you can do a lot with them. They can do multiplication and division and logs and a ton of stuff. If you look at the scales on there, they're not linear, they're logarithmic. See how they're all bunched up down there, and they're, you know, kind of getting apart up here. And there are a number of different scales. Here's the scales here. This is the slider or the pointer or the marker, the index. This little piece is window. And if you're gonna, let's say, I don't know, so you're gonna do multiplication, you use the C scale and the D scale, and you put the 1 on the one of the numbers you want to multiply. Let's say 4, and this one's a little bit loose, but nothing bad. Okay, and you put the index or the marker on the other number you're gonna multiply by. Say that's 2, so 2 times 4, and they read it on the bottom, is 8. And you use your brain a little bit. If you're too stupid to know that 2 times 4 is pretty much the same as 20 times 4 is 800. I like the slide rule. It's got some actually interesting advantages. The slide rule went to the moon. It's not an advantage, it's just a fact. And the slide rule invented helped work on do the engineering for the SR-71. Take that, calculator. The slide rule, my only complaint is it's really hard to update the antivirus software in the slide rule. And the slide rule is solar powered, so you need some light to use it. But other than that, it's a pretty clever little tool, and it's older than hell. The other reason I really like slide rule, no kidding around, is it teaches you to kind of think about math. You know, if you just get out your calculator and do a couple things, you aren't really thinking about what you're doing. The slide rule kind of helps you do some interesting things, and since it isn't an ultra precision instrument or hyper precision instrument, you have to do a little, estimating or rounding or things like that. And that teaches you some stuff. It kind of teaches you to use your brain as opposed to just punching some buttons and getting the answer. And the best part is it doesn't take a minute or two to get booted up if you just need to use it. If you have a computer, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. And there are other slide type calculators or calculating machines and stuff. This one just happens to be, this is probably a basic one. There are more advanced ones, although it does have a lot of functions on the back. You can do trig with the slide rule, and it's pretty interesting. You know, it used to be kind of considered a nerd's tool. Nowadays, it's kind of cool and hip. The when the kids come over, they think it's funny to ask me, you know, what 850 times, you know, 1000 is, and I can look it up on the slide rule. They just think that's the coolest thing. And it is kind of a cool tool. And you can pick a slide rule up for pretty cheap if you can find one. They're a little tough to find. A lot of times they get thrown away. This one's a kind of a reasonably nice one. It's made out of 3 types of material and stuff. There are some that are very expensive, and they come in leather cases, and they were probably used by engineers or draftspeople. And some of them are pretty big. This one's probably an average size one. I've got a couple that are, no, they're big. And they're pretty amazing pieces of technology that people kind of ignore nowadays. I don't know. You can get a slide rule at a garage sale for $1 if you're, you know, if you can get a really nice one for 10, a very nice one for 10. Sometimes you'll find the books wrapped up inside. Although, if you snoop around online, there are some places that have reproductions of the original instructions, and I've seen a couple of places that have books, and I've also seen a couple places that have PDFs of some of the basic functions and how to use the slide rule. It's a pretty amazing tool. So if you get a chance, whip out there and pick one up. If anything, it's a conversation piece. Lay it on your desk at work. I had one at the last place I worked at. I kept it at my desk drawer. I used to whip it out all the time. It used to just irritate the heck out of the guy that thought he was in charge there of our area. Well, one of the people thinks he knows everything. But, gee, he couldn't run the slide rule. It looks pretty basic. I thought you knew everything. Oh well, learn by doing. I tell you what, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, like always. And we'll talk to you later. Take her easy.